We have to finish a bit early today because the Rosh Hashiva is speaking. No? מה קורה פה? מה זה? אני לא יכול לעבוד ככה. הם לא יודעים מי אני? מה זה?
כן. נכון.
באמת? נו, מה זה? מי עשה לי את זה? אז ככה, חבר'ה, אנחנו מדברים קצת על הוכחות שהתורה נכתב על ידי אלוקים ולא אדם. בגלל יש דברים שבתוכו שאנשים לא יודעים ולא אומרים בכלל. אז זה לא עובד. אני לא יודע מה קרה פה, אולי אין בבטריה. השם, מה אתה חושב? אני משתדל לעזור לך. אתה לא עובד לי? איזה סוג של יוחס שיש לנו. Okay, so יש לנו משהו פה. אז, חבר'ה, here we go. So, I'm invited to Tel Aviv for this program where there are lots of secular programs that people come to Israel for 10 months and they teach in school. They teach English in schools and lots of programs for more secular Jews doing that. And they have a little bit of Torah content and they usually bring me in to speak to the group. So then I speak to the group and I basically tell my story. And then I give them life tips, happiness and self-worth. But always, at the end of my story, I always throw in, and the reason, so the reason I became a religious Jew is one reason only because there's evidence there's no way a human being wrote the Torah. There's evidence there's no, and then I just carry on my whole talk about happiness and self-worth and all of these things. And then at the end, I always say to them, do you have any questions? And obviously the first question is, what's the evidence?
Is it always like that?
But I almost never give a class. They say talk about relationships, talk about happiness, talk about whatever. Any class I give to any secular group ever, I will definitely say the line, and there's evidence that there's no way human being wrote the Torah. Any group, and then I just leave it. I don't talk about it, and I just finish talking about relationships. And at the end, they just say, everyone's like, come on, what's happening? Which is cool. And I say to them at that point, I didn't come to talk about that, I came to talk about relationships. If you want me to answer the question, I will. But it's a bit confrontational, because if I give you evidence and you can't refute the evidence, then you've got to actually start thinking about your life and let life change. So if are there any other questions? I don't want to answer. And everyone's like, no, go on then, do it. And I'm like, look, if I have to, and then I do. But what do I do? I've got 5 minutes to prove, to give one piece of evidence that God wrote the Torah. This is what I'm going to do, but we're going to look into it quite deeply. But this is what I'm going to say. Well, you know what? I've got the PowerPoint. I don't have the PowerPoint always, but I did a discovery program in South Africa this Pesach for 160 people, including the chief rabbi of South Africa. It wasn't Goldstein, he was there, it was cool. Anyway, if you're told you've got 2 minutes to give a piece of evidence that there's no way a human being wrote the Torah, this is what you have to say. Because you can't give the 7 wonders of Jewish history in 2 minutes. You can't give mass revelation in 2 minutes. You can't do codes in 2 minutes. You can't do You can't do anything, but this you can do in 2 minutes, but I'm going to not do it in 2 minutes, I'm going to do it in 24 minutes. But then we've got to go deep into it.
Wait, so they tell you have 2 minutes? Or
No, you just
You
do.
just
When I'm
realize-
answering a question, and
Ah.
if I get stopped on the street by someone and said, give me proof, and it's going on Instagram, you've got 2 minutes to hit it. But I'm going to do it longer. So kashrut. Here we go. Kashrut. So I'm going to take 24 minutes for this. But I could do this in 2 minutes. I can do the 7 wonders of Jewish history in 12 minutes. And I'll teach you to do that. But this works. Let's say the Torah was written 2,500 years ago. We established this yesterday. Everyone agrees, even biblical critics agree, that the Torah is not newer than 2,500 years old. Biblical critics say that 2,500 years ago, there was a redactor who took these 4 texts and he interwove them and gave us the Torah we have. So let's say I'm making up a religion 2,500 years ago. There's no God, there's whatever. I'm just making up a religion. What will I put in my book? Don't kill, don't steal, mother. How about kashrut? Think about you're making a religion 2,500 years. At that point in world history, there was the East, which is vegetarian. Don't eat any, you're not allowed to kill animals. Buddhism, although the truth is, yes, by that point there was Buddhism. Not by when the Torah was given, but let's assume. So you basically got the Eastern world, that's vegetarian, and then everyone else eats anything. Snake, dog, rabbit, there's no animal off limits. And that makes sense. Either you can't eat any animal, don't kill, that's my philosophy, or you can eat any animal, that makes sense, because you can kill animals. Kashrut itself, someone came along and said, no, you can eat some animals and you can't eat other animals. What would a human rationale for that be? Now, if it's a health thing, then that should be for everyone on the face of the planet. If pigs are unhealthy, then no one should eat pigs. So it doesn't seem to be a human rationale at first for doing this. So one could say, well, maybe it's just separate you from other people. I don't want to be like other nations. But the whole of Judaism is separating us from other people. You're not allowed to marry anyone who's not Jewish. And we keep Shabbat. And the whole thing, we're wearing different clothes and we're speaking a different language. We're so separated from the other nations anyway. We can't drink their wine, we say, because we're so deeply separated from other nations. To add another thing that's going to separate us from other nations is weird. Why? Because this is very, very bad for your society. I do have a PowerPoint. There's no benefit for the nation. It creates a great difficulty. Let's say you're living by the Mediterranean and you're making up, there's no God. You're just making up the idea of kashrut. And if you say, actually, this is Chokat Torah, this is Parsha, by the way. It's a chok. It doesn't make sense. Why? Why can't we eat rabbits? Why can't we eat snakes? It doesn't make any sense. There's no rational reason. Let's say you're living on the Mediterranean and then you decide, I'm making up a religion and I'm saying that you can't eat any seafood. You can't eat 90% of the stuff in the water. That's very bad for your diet. And it's very bad for your economy.
Very bad for your diet, health-wise, or bad for your
Not
ability?
health-wise. Not health-wise.
To
But
find things.
I don't have a lot to eat now. You've just cut off 90% of our food. Why are you doing that? Why are you making it difficult to eat? And it's very bad for trade and economy because you're not allowed to trade in seafood either. And most of the Mediterranean countries, that's most of their trade, and that's what they're doing. So you've just taken a major part of your sustenance and your economy, and you've just but why? Because it's not kosher. Spiritually, what does not kosher mean? It means it's spiritually bad for you. That's what we're saying. We're not saying it's not healthy for you. We're saying not kosher means it's spiritually not good for you. That's what it means. And by the way, we can't eat camels. Hold on, but we're in the desert. You can't have camel milk. Camel milk is very precious. You've just taken out the camels and we're walking through the desert. So when you're in the desert, you've got camels. You can't benefit from them, and donkeys, and horses, and everything. We left Egypt with chamorim. That's what we've got. Every other nation's eating those things. Why don't we eat it? You've just made life very, very, very difficult for yourself. You're starting your religion by making life very, very difficult for yourself. For no reason. Because it's spiritually bad. Where did you get that from? What's spiritually bad about that? It's a chok. We can't see what's bad about it. So there doesn't seem to be a rational human reason for limiting your food supply like that, so drastically. But then the guy who's making up the Torah says, he's sitting in his room, he's like, now let's think about it. Which animals can we eat and which animals can't we eat? Well, you know what? We're in this area of the world, and in this area of the world there are lots of snakes and foxes and wolves, and I think there were lions back in those days. So those will be the ones we can eat, because there are lots of them. So I'll just make the ones with sharp claws and a long tail, we can eat those because there are lots of them. But the ones I'm saying we can't eat for no real reasons, they're not that common anyway. So it's not that bad. No. Exactly the opposite. He comes up with these things. In order to be kosher, in order to be spiritually pure for you, then I'm just making up there's no God. An animal has to have 2 signs. Not 3 signs, not 1 sign. It has to have 2 signs. He's just making... Okay, and so what are the 2 signs of a kosher animal? Kippah and tzitzit. It has to have a kippah and tzitzit. I do say that in my presentations. It is funny, because it's good to be funny. It has to have fully split hooves. If it has hooves, that's not kosher. If it has half split hooves, that's not kosher. It has to be fully split hooves. Only something fully split hooves. Then that's kosher. Now what else? He's sitting in his bedroom, he's tripping on mushroom. I don't know what he's doing, but he's like, and male geri. It has to chew the cud. Now what is chewing the cud? Lateral chewing. We chew up and down. They chew laterally. And they have 4 stomachs.
Every ruminant chews laterally?
Yes.
Wow.
4 stomachs, 3 or 4 stomachs, but 4 stomachs, and so they chew, and then they swallow their food. Then they digest their food, and then they throw it up again, back into their mouth, they chew it again, and then they swallow it. That's kosher.
Seems gross, right?
That seems gross to me. So there's no God. He's sitting there in the desert or in this area of the world 2,500 years ago, making up a book. Don't kill, don't steal, day off a week, that's fine. Shake leaves and lemons, whatever, I'll do it. Cut your, why not? But here, now let's mess up our whole trade and diet. And by the way, you can't do any farming for a whole year. Because that's going to help. Which is another thing we're going to talk about. We'll talk about Shemitah. Doesn't make any sense. Shemitah. Hey guys, no farming for a year. What are we going to eat? Well, I'll give you triple crop in the 6th year. Okay. 6th year comes along. You're like, no triple crop. I kill you, Moshe. Dov Ber. I kill you. Anyway, so we'll talk about Shemitah a little bit. But anyway, so now he's just come up with 2 random signs. Ruminant. Now the ruminants are cows, goats, sheep, some deer, giraffe actually. That's not a lot.
Oh, chicken. Chicken was a lot, no? Not back then.
Chicken doesn't chew its cud.
So how did it be?
We talked about mammals. Sorry, I should have specified. We talked about mammals. But you're right, but they're birds. We'll talk about birds later. So fine. Yes?
Then on top of that, you can only eat certain parts of those animals.
Well, why would you be able to eat the Gida Nasha? But I know there's no God, but there's a part of that. But fine, weird. But right, so here we go. So now, ladies and gentlemen, now I've limited our mammal eating supply to cows, goats, and sheep. Not deer. which there are not that much of around those days. There are some. They had Deber and Shchin and that stuff, whatever. So that's already weird. The whole thing's weird. It's just crazy. Some human beings coming up with this crazy system for no reason. It doesn't help you. Totally random selection of sites. Now this is where it gets very weird. But we're going to have to really go into this deeply. Vayikra 11:7. Is it 11:7? I didn't want to do that. So the Torah says, in order for an animal to be kosher, it has to have two signs, fully split hooves and chew the cud, which I think is weird already. The next verse says this. Of all the animals that have split hooves and chew, the pig family, Swina, remember when the Torah says animals' names, it's talking about a family. So it just says kelev, it doesn't say spaniel, poodle. So when it says the word chazir, pig, it means the Swina family, S-U-I-N-A. That includes warthogs and anything that a 3-year-old would look at and say, pig. I think that's the most simple way to think. Okay. So then it makes this claim, and it makes a bigger claim, but I'm just going to focus on this one claim, because the other one's a little bit harder. The pig family is the only animals on the face of the planet that does have fully split hooves. But it does not chew the cud. And it is tameh. It's not kosher. You can't eat that. Question number 1. What is that verse adding that I don't already know?
All animals in the whole world.
Okay, more simple is,
Be careful.
it's not adding anything. I.e., I know it's not kosher. You just said for an animal to be kosher it needs 2 signs. The pig only has 1 sign, it's not kosher. I know it's not kosher. Yes, dear.
Because it's a hidden sign that you can't see unless you open up the animal.
No, Malager. Oh, you're talking about Malager. No, it's saying that
There's split hooves, but
yeah, split hooves, it doesn't chew. Okay, but I can see it doesn't chew its cud. Or I can open up the animal. There are many ways to. We knew what chewed the cud in those days.
You could say be very careful when you're checking. Don't just assume.
Is it coming to include other species of pig that also do chew their cud?
It says the pig family has split hooves, but doesn't chew the cud. You cannot eat it.
All animals within the pig family?
All animals within the Swina family, they have split hooves. They don't chew the cud. You can't eat it. So the first thing that comes to mind is you haven't gained anything for writing that. I know that if it only has 1 sign, it's not kosher. Now you might say, and we're going to learn the Gemara, by the way, we're just doing it quickly today because the Rosh Hashiva is speaking. You might say, well, because the pig, you might get confused. It's one of those ones where you see it, so the pig, but the truth is, well, we'll learn the Gemara. We'll go into the
You
Gemara.
said it's the only animal that has split hooves.
Now we've got the real question, and this is the real question which stops everyone. A much stronger question than that is, how could someone writing a book 2,500 years ago at least, I think it was 3,338 years ago, how could someone writing a book 2,500 years ago make the claim that the pig family is the only animals on the face of the planet that has fully split hooves but don't chew the cud? Why would they make that claim for a start? Why? What benefit is there to making the claim? No benefit. And saying it's not kosher, no benefit. I know it's not kosher. What risk is there to making that claim?
You get it wrong.
And therefore,
It's false.
your book is false. You've made your book very easily falsifiable.
There's something that
Because all you have to do is find one more animal ever that has fully split hooves doesn't chew the cud. So you put something in your book that doesn't gain anything, because I know it's not kosher already, but it risks everything. I put something in my book that there's no benefit from putting in my book. I haven't gained anything by putting it in my book. And lehefech, adarabah, I've risked my whole book now. Is there anything in the Christian Bible that can falsify the Christian Bible?
Yes.
Well, there is, but not really. There isn't really, because they don't make any claims. They just say he died for your sins, and it's like, okay, I can't falsify that, I can't. Now, there's big problems in the Christian Bible because there's lots of contradictions. When he was resurrected, where he was resurrected, how long after so there are contradictions. But what I'm saying is, there's no claim in the Bhagavad Gita or the Dharmapada or the anything that can actually make it falsifiable. They're not making any crazy claims. You've now put something in your book for no reason and no benefit that's making your book very easily falsifiable. VEF. Americans like acronyms. Very easily falsifiable. VEF. Yes.
Is that the reason why the Torah wrote that pasuk? So that
I believe so. Do you know who says that? The Gemara. We're going to learn the Gemara together. But the Gemara itself says why the Torah said that. The Gemara says only the creator of the universe could have known this. Because we are going to look at it, we're just doing it quickly today. There is a way to read that pasuk that it's not saying these are the only animals. It's just saying of the animals. There are other ones. These aren't the only animals. You could read the pasuk. We're going to read the pasuk properly together. The pasuk is, you could read that pasuk that says, of the animals that have split hooves, don't eat the pig because it's common. But the other way is no. This is an exhaustive list of these are the only animals on the face of the planet. How do we know that that is how our tradition interprets it? Because the Gemara itself says only the creator of the universe could possibly know this. Only the creator of the universe could possibly know. And then the Ramban says very clearly, these are the only animals on the face of the planet. Yes.
But someone who doesn't believe in the oral Torah, then wouldn't they just say, why can't you read it the other way?
It doesn't matter. Even the oral Torah was written 2,000 years ago. So we say whoever wrote the oral Torah made the claim that the pig is the only animal on the face of the planet. It pushes it off a little bit, but it doesn't happen.
Same thing with the fish, no? Like with the remember.
We're going to do that.
Is that claim in the Mishnah or the Gemara, the one about
The fish is actually from the Mishnah.
No, the other one, not the fish. The one with saying that they're the only animals.
No, the Torah is written in a way where I think the Pashat reading is these are the only animals. But it could be read that there's more than these.
But when the Gemara says
But the
that,
Gemara
no,
says
no,
explicitly,
okay,
the
sure.
Gemara, the Talmud says explicitly, only the creator of the universe could have possibly known this. And I think it basically says, Lagdil Torah v'yadeh, to show how unbelievable the Torah is.
So what does
Why
it-
did God write that in the Torah? Because God didn't need to write it in the Torah either. Why did God need to mention the pig? Didn't need to do it all. So why did he? So the Gemara says, Lagdil Torah v'yadeh, to show, he's saying this is, he's putting it in there to prove that he wrote it. Yeah.
So what would a smart Christian or atheist say?
Well, Christians are into the Torah.
Fine, so what would someone who's trying to refute the Torah say against that?
I'm going to give you an article by Orthodox Rabbi Natan Slipkin.
Oh.
It's a good article. You can't mess with that article. He's very
He's very good.
very, very intelligent,
Yeah.
very, very knowledgeable, and any secular person reading that article would be completely laugh at me right now. Laugh at me. Be like, his mum has proved you wrong. But then we'll show you why he's wrong. Which is not actually very hard. Lots of the anti-proof refutations are written by brilliant people who are very academically sound. So if you're, especially if you've got a cognitive bias, secular person with cognitive bias, they're like brilliant. But once you look deeper, it doesn't work. So I'm going to give you that article. I don't know if we're going to have full time to study it together, but that's going to be more critical when it comes to the other half of the pasuk, which we don't have time to do now, but we need to do. The pasuk then says there are three animals that are the opposite of a pig. They do chew the cud, but they do not have fully split hooves. And they are the shafan, the arnevet, and the gamal. Not in that order. I think gamal, shafan, arnevet. The gamal is the camel. The camel does chew the cud, mamish. Does not have split hooves. Has hooves, because the pasuk says the gamal, the shafan, and the arnevet have hooves that are not fully split. This is going to be very, very important, by the way. Because people translate, including Art Scroll, and I need to write to them, that the shafan and the arnevet are the rabbit and the hare and the hyrax. The hare and the hyrax. That's what the shafan and the arnevet are, the hare and the hyrax. They can't be, because the Torah says they have hooves that are not fully split. So it can't be that. Now the modern word for rabbit is arnevet.
So why did
This is a kangaroo.
Sadie Gaon says the hyrax. Like big people, big Jewish rabbis have said hare and hyrax throughout the years. It's a problem.
It's not like a small, like it's
I
like
know.
Pashut.
We'll read swiftly. If you're really into it, you're into it. But yes, it is Pashut. We've got a problem though, because what are they? What are the shafan and the arnevet? I don't have an alternative.
Which Pashut?
11:11, I think. Vayikra 11:11. We're going to look into it. I was just told to rush today. So I'm at the end of this amazing talk in Tel Aviv, and they say, "Go on, Rabbi, prove the Torah." And I said, "Okay, I will. You have 3 minutes to prove the Torah." It says in the Torah, kashrut. Okay, you all know about kashrut. Kashrut doesn't make sense. Why would you limit your food supply? And then it says you have to have 2 signs. I asked them what they are. Sometimes they know, sometimes they don't. I said, who came up with those 2 signs? It's a bit weird, 2 signs. I said, now everyone knows that to be kosher animal, you have to have 2 signs, fully split hooves, and chew the cud. The next thing the Torah says is that the pig family is the only one on the face of the planet that does have fully split hooves. It doesn't chew the cud, and you can't eat it. Question number 1. I know I can't eat it. It only has 1 sign. But more importantly, how could someone writing a book 2,500 years ago possibly know that the pig family is the only one on the face of the planet that has fully split hooves through the cud? You just need to find 1 more animal in Australia or Africa or Antarctica or Alaska or Asia or Argentina
Americas.
or what?
You said Argentina.
Hey, I choose 8 countries because I'm cool. So how do you know that? And all you have to do in the next 2,000 years is find 1 animal in the rainforest of Peru that has fully split hooves down to the cud. You've just made your book part. I wish the point that okay, you asked for it. I didn't want to do that. But and then I say to them, by the way, that's a cute one. That's not what I got. I got much better ones than that. That's a cute one. So it's in your pocket. That's the one for you to throw out. But we have to learn Slivkin. We have to learn the Gemara. I want to be intellectually honest. I'm very, very careful not to say things to trick and fool people and manipulate people for your own, just because you don't need to, but for your own sake, you lose authority at that point. So that's why we have to learn Slivkin. We have to learn all the counter arguments. If you don't know the counter argument, and then people are throwing stuff out at you, then you just look stupid. ChatGPT now as well. You've got to know the second you teach the discovery, they're already on ChatGPT looking up what you're saying. So I say before all of my classes, by the way, I want you to go to ChatGPT after the class, try and concentrate in the class, hold it for the class. I want you to go to ChatGPT and say, refute the whole of what Dov Ber just said, refute the extra, I want you to do that. Because I want this to be real for you. And by the way, don't think I didn't go to ChatGPT too. I use Claude, it's even better.
Yeah. Just
So I've been there, but I can answer up everything you're going to find. Don't worry, let's go. So you've got to not, for yourself, you've got to be not afraid. I'm not covering anything. I'm not afraid. I've got answers to everything. So I'm not afraid of that. So Especially for the Torah codes. I don't think we're going to have time to go into the Torah codes. There's an amazing anti-Torah codes world out there. Amazing website. You have to know that website, and you have to send them to the website. Say, I want you to go there. I want you to read Elliot Friedman's book called Who Wrote the Bible. I want you to read it. Go, I'm not scared of you. Go and read all that stuff. And I'll still show you that my evidence is strong. And then hopefully they'll be like, wow, that's impressive, and they won't read it. They'll be like, I trust you. It's the whole Rashi with the donkey thing. Isn't it? Can I? You have to go now, because the Rosh Hashiva is speaking. But we're going to get deep into this.